At the end of every year, Russian President Vladimir Putin hosts a live TV event broadcasted to entire Russia. The event is called Прямая линия, or the direct line. The idea is that anyone, a Russian national or a foreigner, can call and ask Vladimir Putin any question on live TV. That's basically a gargantuan live stream chat that we here at Inside Russia do a few times every week. And that's what we're going to do today, again, discussing my message and the direct line that Vladimir Putin just held. And today was his 21st direct line. And it was, well, I can't say it was a treat. I'll walk you through the direct line today, and I will explain why I find it a very important event. Howdy, howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. As usual, you will not find here any BS, propaganda, or lies. Instead, you will find truth, common sense, and logic, and emotions too, because I'm a human being after all. The Direct Line event with Vladimir Putin is an annual televised, well, I was going to say event, but it's really a show. In Russia, President Vladimir Putin answers questions from Russian citizens. This event started on December 24th, 2001, 23 years ago, and has been and was held almost every year since then. So today is the 21st event. During the Direct Line, Putin addresses a wide range of topics, including politics, foreign policies, current domestic events. Questions are submitted via telephone, text messages, emails, and video calls. The event is broadcasted on multiple television channels and radio stations in Russia, making it accessible to a large audience. The format allows Putin to present himself as directly engaging with the concerns of Russian citizens, bypassing other government agencies and assemblies. This has been a significant aspect of Vladimir Putin's public image and his political strategy. This all sounds fantastic, but despite the Direct Line being a live televised event, it is staged. There have been numerous reports and rumors circulating that the questions are crafted in advance and a large team of specially selected and prepared people asks them live. There can be also questions asked by regular people. Sometimes I believe that they get through. But, sometimes there are questions from audience, especially from foreign reporters who sit in front of Vladimir Putin and ask him live. But the questions are screened in advance. Well, there's no hard proof of that. People who organized staging of the Direct Line, they haven't come out forward yet. But I'm very sure that they will come forward and tell the truth in the future sometimes. How then we know that these rumors are true? Well, obviously judging from the nature of the questions that Vladimir Putin is asked. On my memory, he hasn't been asked a question that would put him into a spot or would make him feel uncomfortable. I believe the last questions that I said, wow, and I was surprised about, I think they came in 2012. And there weren't many of them, just a few. So Again, on my memory, he hasn't been asked a question that would put him on the spot. And there are a lot of questions that can these days. Why the direct line events are important then? Because Vladimir Putin lets everyone know his position on various issues and policies. He kind of gives out an idea to the public of a direction for Russia for following year. And today's direct line was also important. There are plenty of questions that Putin has to answer Russians right now, such as the war, the economy, why so many people have been killed, the future steps of the country will be taking and making. And some of that was partially answered, or at least hinted to us. And I want to share the main points that Putin made today. I'll give you my take on them. The entire event is very long. Well, was very long, 4.45 hours, 4.5 hours, and fairly boring. This is the first direct line event that I didn't learn anything new. But then, nevertheless, I find it important. So what I'll do is I'll give you the most important questions and takes or statements that Vladimir Putin did, and I will put my commentaries. One thing I'll tell you in advance before jumping into the letting you know is that I heard a lot of heresies today. One thing I'll start with. Vladimir Putin was actually looking good at this event. There were lots of rumors circulating about the poor health, decline in health, and so forth. Well, I tell you, he looked good and he was full of energy. And 4.5 hour live event is very physically and mentally demanding and challenging. I know I have staged live streams that were 4.5, 5, even 6 hours. And I tell you, at the end of such event, you feel exhausted. Heck, 2 hours, hour and a half, I usually feel very tired at the end of every single event, my event, live stream that I do every single day. 4.5 hours in front of the entire country, basically the world. Well, Putin pulled it off. He was full of energy. He was feeling fine, or so it looked like. So much goes for the rumors of his decline in health. Of course, there's a question, was it really Putin? I don't know how to answer that. I really don't. I don't think that anyone except for the very close circle of Vladimir Putin can answer. So therefore, I won't even discuss it. So let me jump to the points. The first, question was from the presenter, the reporter who was hosting. And basically, something like this was said. It seems like the world has gone crazy, or is going crazy. How does Russia manage to hold on? And Vladimir Putin tried to make a joke. He kind of jokingly replied that basically, when it's not scary, it's boring. And everyone complains because it's boring. And when things turn turbulent and it's not boring, as right now, and even bullets go by, then people start complaining about that. So now I'll give you a few points that I found very important. Number one, Vladimir Putin usually starts his direct line events from talking about Russian economy. And this time he surprised me. He started with Russian economy, but not in a way that would be expected from him, telling the truth. But He said that Russian economy this year has grown by 3.9%. Well, 2 weeks left, but 3.9% growth, economic growth, 3.9%. Now, anyone who knows a thing or two about Russia will tell you right away that this is kind of crazy because Russia is going through an extremely turbulent period in its time, in its history. It has lost the bread maker it was relying on for the past 50 years. The exports of natural gas and oil, well, not completely lost, but taken a huge hit. Russian expenses of Russian economy have tripled for the defense, or offense, I should say, and there's a record number of loans taken out, bankruptcies, defaults, and this is a mess. I've been talking about it for the past year, and Vladimir Putin says it's 3.9%. In the good years, in the last 8 years before the war, Russian economy grew by about 1%. With selling, exporting natural gas and oil, without huge military expenses, with fairly large revenues, selling everything abroad, it grew by 1% year after year and after year. And now, going through such turbulent time, it grows by 3.9%. You know how it's called, my friends? Heresy. Russian economy is not growing. The only part that has somewhat grown is the military-industrial complex, the enterprises and factories that produce death. They have been pumped with taxpayers' money in the last 2 years. These enterprises used to work 1 shift a day in the past, but now most of them work 3 shifts a day. They pump out, they produce as much death as they can. The missiles, ammo, tanks, planes, okay? There's overall growth shown in the economy because of 2 things. First is there has been incredible growth, some experts say up to 40%, of the military-industrial complex that doesn't produce consumer goods, produces death that basically has nothing valuable to add to Russian economy, okay? That's number one. And number 2, Russian economy has shown overall growth because of high inflation. Real life inflation is estimated between 26 and 30%. 26 and 30%. Now put yourself into the shoes of a Russian who lives just a regular person who has a regular job. If you saw this year your prices jumped by 30%, what would you say? The price has grown up by 30% in the last, about 18 months. The costs of everything have increased. Russian ruble is devalued. It lost over 50% of its value since late 2022. Therefore, all imports paid for in dollars cost over 50% more now. And that's just the currency difference, besides other factors. The rest of the economy, except for the military-industrial complex, the civic economy, is in recession. And that is not me saying, friends. It is Elvira Nabiulina, the head of Russia's central bank. She says that in the in a few press conferences. She changed her tone in July. She downgraded prognosis for Russian economy. And basically now she kind of tells the truth what's going on. It's out there. Some people ask me for the links. It's out there to see at the website of Russian Central Bank. Please go and check out for yourself. Available for the public to see. Russian economy is landsliding. Vladimir Putin bragging of the success of Russian economy is either grossly misinformed or lying to the taxpayers. What he said today is lies and heresy. Number 2. Vladimir Putin bragged of overall growth of salaries and wages of Russian people. Well, I was sitting there and watching him and listening to what he had to say, and I was thinking, who is he trying to kid? Russian people? He's telling Russian people how Russian people, started receiving, earning so much more? Yes, there has been growth in salaries and wages, but not so fast. The growth is artificial due to catastrophical decline in country's labor force. There are simply fewer people available to work. So employees have competed for available workers by raising salaries and wages. So that's your growth, But the thing is that the rate of growing salaries does not catch up with the rate of inflation. That is an artificial growth, and it's not enough even to match the rise in prices, okay? There's a growth without production, the growth in production. The growth in salaries and wages is without growth in production, and it hurts the companies a great deal, and it leads to even higher inflation, stagflation, and or recession. Any economics freshman would tell you that what's happening with the wages in Russia right now, wages and salaries, is not good. There's nothing to be bragging about. Apparently, it's good enough for Putin, and that's what he brags. Friends, this is heresy. Number 3, Vladimir Putin mentioned that Russian economy became healthier due to Western companies having left the country or, intending to leave. The very few of them left. Russian business people took over where the foreigners left. Friends, that is heresy. Large Western companies have left Russia, indeed. Almost all of them have left at this point. But there are new companies that Putin is talking about. They simply have not been created. Instead, the Russian government, Putin, at the patronage of Putin and, the highest officials, stole most of former Western assets and started using them as their own. That is called theft. I'll just give you a few names. Baltica, Russia's largest brewery. It was built by a Danish company called Carlsberg. That's a very known case in Russia. I even studied it in the business school. It was stolen from the rightful owners and given to Putin's buddies. Danone, a French dairy giant, stolen from the rightful owners in Russia and given to Putin's buddies. A Swedish company called IKEA needs no introduction. The foreign owners were forced to sell it for pennies on dollar. And then there are hundreds of other examples. So Putin saying Western companies leaving Russia is good and they've been replaced by Russian companies and Russian business people is heresy. Number 4, Putin's also said that Russian army is in great shape. Where do I even start? I feel like I repeat myself, Ukrainian forces have entered and occupied a decent size of Russian province. And that happened in early August, August 6th. Now it's December 19th. It's been over 4 months. And the Ukrainian troops are still there in Kursk province, and there have been numerous attempts and numerous orders from Vladimir Putin to push the Ukrainians back into Ukraine. 4.5 months. I guess that shows what great of a shape Russian army is in. Now, Russian army has been conducting an offensive in Ukraine. And it's been doing that for months and months and months. And they have moved just a few kilometers further into Ukrainian territory. That shows you what a great shape Russian army is. And then there are numerous reports from just soldiers recording videos stating what a poor shape their life in the army is. They have to buy food themselves. They have to buy ammo, clothing. There are hundreds, if not thousands, volunteers in Russia who go around, knock on people's doors, and ask to get some money to buy things for Russian soldiers. When I hear that, my first question is like, okay, but the taxpayers have already paid for everything that you're asking for. Where did the taxpayers' money go to? Well, fortunately, I don't have this unpleasure of receiving this telephone calls or knocking on my door, but they literally do that in Russia, okay? And that just shows you what a great shape Russian army is at. Imagine the U.S. Army having, stationed in Afghanistan or Iraq, and then the volunteers in the United States walking around and raising money to buy food for the American army, That's the same thing is happening in Russia, So there have been a flood of reports from semi-government agents, Z reporters operating in the front lines. They're not happy. Some of them are telling the truth. Some of them are getting shut down by the Russian government, and some of them even getting arrested. But they are also a source of truth. And anyone understands that Russian army is not in a great shape. Moreover, recently a high-ranked general, Gennady Anashkin, was fired from his position of the commander of the South Group of Armies in Ukraine. The fellow who was in charge of Russia's war, there are two groups of armies, the East and the South, okay? So one of them was fired for lying. That is an official explanation for supplying fake information to the higher command. He lied of the advancements of Russian army. He lied of current state of the Russian army. And it just happened in November. And then Vladimir Putin comes out and tells all the Russians on TV that Russian army is in great shape. It's a heresy. Number 5. Vladimir Putin said that Russia doesn't have any prerequisites for the peace negotiations with Ukraine. And that is absolute heresy. He contradicted himself. On the 14th of June, he said, I quote, "There are two prerequisites for the start of the peace negotiations with Ukraine. First is all Ukrainian troops must be removed from the annexed territories of Ukraine, where Russia is claiming their own right now. And the second prerequisite, the Ukrainians must formally inform Russia that Ukraine has no intention to join NATO. As soon as that is achieved, we will start peace negotiations immediately." That's Vladimir Putin said that himself. And now he's saying that there are no prerequisites for peaceful negotiations. It is very hard to take Vladimir Putin seriously, you know. He makes two completely opposite statements 6 months apart. He lied. He just admitted that himself. He lied either on the June 14th or today. That's how logic works, okay? You can't say two absolutely opposite things and claim they're both truth. People, what's going on? Sorry, sometimes I tend to get a bit emotional. So he made contradictory statements. Who in the right mind would believe Vladimir Putin? You know, in Iran they say, I am the master of my word. I give my word and then I can take it back anytime because I am the master of my word. Well, Vladimir Putin is the master of his word. The Iranian style. Number 6, Vladimir Putin said that there are currently over 40,000 international sanctions of different kinds have been placed upon Russia. That is a complete heresy and lie, and that is proven by Sergei Lavrov, Russia's foreign minister. In September of this year, Lavrov publicly announced that all Russians, you know, he made a public statement. He announced that they were currently around 21,000 international sanctions. Not 40,000. Lies and heresy. More lies and heresy. Number 7. This is a very painful, well, it's all painful, but Mariupol is incredibly painful. According to Putin, around 300,000 Ukrainians have returned to live in Mariupol. By his own words, before the war, there were around 470 million Ukrainians living in Mariupol. Now, we know a great deal about Mariupol, how it was razed by Russia. Literally, war came to Mariupol. You know, most buildings are destroyed. And yes, the Russians are building new apartment blocks, but that's just a little drop in an ocean. I'm just wondering, where do these 300,000 Ukrainians who lived in Mariupol, who have returned to Mariupol, where do they live? Do they live in the tents on the streets? I don't think it's heresy. I think it's just very low. Before jumping to the next point, I'd like to thank everyone. I do that every single time that I live stream or do a video, go in front of camera, because it's very important for me. I acknowledge how much support I have received from you, and I am very grateful for that. Thank you. Thank you for watching this right now. Thank you for liking it. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sending me emails with words of encouragement. Some people offer help if I ever move to their countries to stay with them. You know, that is so touching. Some people offer help to buy clothing to my kids. Thank you so much. Thank you for buying me coffees at buymecoffee.com. Thank you for Patreon. Becoming patrons. Thank you for PayPal. Thank you for all your prayers and for your love. I feel that I receive so much more than I give. And I promise you that I will continue doing what I've been doing, no matter if I'm demonetized, monetized, or, you know, it doesn't matter. I am always here. And if Google hasn't paid me a penny in the last 4 months, and, you know, I still do it because I find it very important. So thank you so much for all your support. Now, moving to the next point. That was a funny moment, you know. There was a little, how do I call it, a skirmish, perhaps, an exchange between Vladimir Putin and a reporter from Tatarstan. And she called him, and she had not even a question, but she had a request. She talked about people who took out mortgage and never got the apartments. Basically, there's a scam in Russia that you invest into construction of apartment block way before it in advance, way before it is constructed and commenced, and it's just cheaper because you freeze your money for some time, and the developer just takes your money and builds using your money, builds your housing. Okay, and what happens? A lot of developers scam people. They take the money, but they never finish apartments, and then they declare bankruptcy, disappear, run with the money. I mean, that's been a problem for the past 20 years. And the Russian government has been trying to introduce tools of securitization of this industry. But it's still going on in large numbers. And then she, asked Putin to help out those who basically invested money and were left without housing. And Putin tried to explain that reporter that it's simply impossible. He said that there is a special escrow accounts exist in Russian banks. And I quote, he said, "I don't understand what you're talking about. It's simply impossible what you're saying." Well, it is possible. It is possible. Russians have been, and that's a big problem for a lot of people. But what Putin answered is heresy, because Putin himself signed a federal law creating protective escrow accounts for those who invest into housing construction, and the law will take effect on March 1st, 2024, and perhaps after March 1st it's going to be much more secured, but not right now. Yet, he doesn't even understand what the reporter is telling him. So it turns out that Putin signs laws without reading them, because he doesn't know about this law, escrow accounts, or perhaps it's just not him who signs the federal laws. Something to think about. Number 9, there was a question about the shortages of young people and generally people in rural areas. Not enough people in agriculture, not enough farmers. And a person asked, what should we do to attract them? Well, Putin started telling from a big distance, and he turned that question into bragging. He bragged of large agricultural exports and high yields that are currently a feature of Russian agriculture industry. He said, I quote, "Everything is growing. Rural work, work in farming and in agriculture in the rural areas is becoming more and more interesting. This is an industry and it requires highly educated specialists. That is very interesting, and we need to talk about it not only at events of this kind once a year, but constantly. Putin promised that the state will do everything necessary." Oh boy, where do I start? That's a heresy of a grand scale. Gosh. You know what happened in 2022, in late 2022? He declared mobilization. And Moscow was spared. Very few people were mobilized from Moscow because Yeah, the government didn't want to agitate the Muscovites. It's the capital, that's a large population, and also St. Petersburg was kind of spared, and the large cities. But the areas that weren't spared from mobilization, that were hit the hardest, were rural areas. Farmers were forced to get mobilized. Basically, they weeded out agriculture of able men. They have, I can't say they've destroyed, but they have a huge hit. And Vladimir Putin is the one who ordered the whole thing. And now he says that the government will promises that the government will do everything it can necessary to attract young people back to live in rural areas, to do farming, to grow things. Russian agriculture is in big trouble. I made a live stream a couple days ago explaining, giving you facts and figures and numbers. And Vladimir Putin bragging about the state of Russian agriculture is heresy. Now, I'm done with the points. I would like to just tell you a little bit about the questions and answers type of thing. That's what I've told you before was the main points. But now there have been interesting questions I'd like to mention. Putin wished well to all Russians. I quote, "We are talking right now on the eve of the very bright holidays of the New Year and Christmas. When I meet with the representatives of different religions, I ask, when people communicate with you at everyday level, what do they talk about? What do they regret? An answer is this. People say that they pay too little attention to their children. So I would like to wish that people would pay more attention to their loved ones." I unquote. Nice. How about not taking the loved ones and sending them to die in Ukraine or to kill Ukrainians? Because the Ukrainians who are fighting on the other side, they are also loved ones. They also have children. They also have wives and mothers and fathers. I have not yet heard once from Russian people residing in Russia that Ukrainians, they consider Ukrainians same as theirs. I've heard it plenty of times here in Uzbekistan, in other countries abroad, from the Russians who have left, but not from Russians who still reside. I don't think they consider Ukrainians people any longer. They don't give this thought, they don't have this thought that the Ukrainians can have loved ones too, and certainly not Vladimir Putin. Because if he really wanted to wish Russian people to pay more attention to the loved ones, he would have made decision to stop the war. Before the last a couple questions, I would like to remind you that, in general, if you want to stay on top of things, of what's happening inside Russia, you have to pay attention to it. You have to spend a great deal of resources and time investigating, zeroing in what's happening. You got to put events in Russia under a microscope. You have to keep lots of facts and lots of news inside your head. I'm doing that. And I am offering to those who want to stay on top of things in Russia, I'm offering an easy way. I carefully select the news that I find important and I find that matter, and I make them available to patrons of Inside Russia, along with my commentaries and analysis. Sometimes it's both. Sometimes it's either commentaries or analysis. I feel it helps a lot to stay on top of things if you want to learn Russia, if you want to see the changes, the transformation that Russia is going through, because the biggest thing about my country is the transformation. It's transforming from, I don't know, just a normal country in the past to something that I sometimes even scared to look at. So I think it's important to know what's happening. Patrons of Inside Russia, they know. Every day, 9 news, 54 news a week. We take Sunday off. So if you want to stay on top of things, didn't know where to look for, well, now you know. Sign up. I'm going to put the link down below after the end of the stream. And enjoy all the information you need to have. Now, a couple more things. Putin was asked, what does Russia mean to you? And this is a question I would ask Putin. And I really would like him to give me and everyone an honest answer. Well, the answer he gave this time is, for me, Russia is like a family. What kind of family do you treat like that? What kind of family do you destroy the future of? What kind of family that you send your family members, your loved ones, to go kill others and get killed in the process? And the count is in, what, hundreds of thousands? What kind of family is that? What kind of family man Vladimir Putin is? I really would like to take a closer look at his real family, his wife or wives and children, and just for the sake of interest, to understand that man. For me, Russia is like a family, he said. I don't want a family like that. The next question was interesting. It came from a reporter from China in Russia, one of the Chinese newspapers, and he asked, is the Kremlin ready to stop the fire in Ukraine? The whole world is tired of the Ukrainian crisis. No one is asking anything. Just to stop where they're standing right now. Just stop at one point. That's what the Chinese reporter said. Can you do that? The answer was from Vladimir Putin was no. I quote, such truce period would give Ukrainians and Ukraine an opportunity to train the military and re-equip the armed forces. We don't need truce, but we need peace. Well, I'm afraid that's what Vladimir Putin wants. We'll see that soon, because something big is coming. The last question. And this question kind of was a little revelation to me. That's something I did not expect for Vladimir Putin. I didn't expect to hear it. I knew that, I guessed that there's something like that deep inside Vladimir Putin's head, but he just confirmed it. So that question came from a BBC reporter from BBC News. 25 years ago, Boris Yeltsin resigned, and he called you to take care of Russia. Do you think that you have cared for Russia? What it looks from afar is pretty bad. Significant losses in so-called SVO, Special Military Operation. I can't believe that the reporter actually didn't say the war, but, it's BBC News. So the significant losses in the so-called SVO that you declared, the Ukrainian soldiers occupying a part of Kursk province, NATO has expanded, demographic problems, economic problems. Do you think you have cared for Russia? Yes, Putin said. I saved it. And that was the most important answer in the entire direct line. I saved it. He saved Russia. I don't know what I need to do. Laugh or cry. He said, I have done everything to ensure that Russia is an independent power that can make decisions in its own interests. Unquote. He added that Yeltsin was favorably received by Western leaders as long as he didn't do much in the interest of the country. Honestly, I understand Putin better now. Not only he secretly thinks that he has, helped Russia, he openly brags about it. He tells the entire world that he is the savior of Russia, the mighty emperor, the strong man who has kept Russia independent, sovereign. He's talked about he's been talking about sovereignty of Russia. What is being sovereign, I wonder? How Russia makes decisions in its own interests. Losing the bread makers, exports of natural gas and oil, is that in Russia's interests? Impoverishment of Russian regular people, millions, hundreds, tens of millions of people, impoverishment of retirees, is that in Russia's interests? Russia being a pariah, not just by the West, by many other countries that are not part of the West, being considered a pariah, is that in Russia's interest? He is... I can't say that he's delusional. I think he believes. He truly believes that he has done all of that in Russia's interest. He saved Russia. Я ее сохранил. I saved it. You know what? He said that in front of 140 million Russian people. And every single one of those Russian people ate it, swallowed it, chewed it, and swallowed it. Why? If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, because I am hurting. I don't understand. Vladimir Putin or any other person can try to do and say anything they want to, but how can Russian people give up the control of their lives? Complete control of their lives, and just listen to a strong man sitting telling them from the TV that he saved their country, and the country is simply falling apart, and they know it because it has gone down bad to the very, very ground where Russian people are. That is absolutely amazing to me. Summing up Putin's 4.5 hours, it was sad madness. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'd like to invite you to the live stream chat. We don't have much time, about 15-20 minutes, and I will try to answer your questions. So please, it'd be my honor if you continue in the live stream chat. Thank you. We have 5,100 people watching, which is fantastic. It's a small stadium. I'm very honored, and I'd like to thank you again for coming and giving me a chance. Before I start, it's the weirdest thing. All my life, I thought that the biggest problems that I faced as Constantine, just as father, as husband, was my own well-being. I had to work hard. I had to be honest. I had to learn constantly of things. I had to get experience. And that would make my life better. You know, I'd make more money, I'd get better reputation, I'd get, you know, better attitude from other people, things like that. But now, in the last 3 years, my life has completely changed. It's something absolutely different. I'm seeing my country is falling apart in front of me. And the biggest question is what to do with that, how to help it, how to save it, how to restore it perhaps, how to change the direction it's going. And my personal problems, not problems, you know, but struggles, my path, personal path of my previous life seems so small and insignificant, you know. Anyway, thank you for coming. I was just thinking aloud. Thank you for coming. It's my best, most favorite part of any stream, because when I sit in front of camera and speak, that's one thing, and then I turn the live stream chat on, and that just explodes with real people, with you. That's just warms my heart. Thank you so much. If you're here for the first time, I would like to inform you that Inside Russia is the best community on the internet, and it is so because of the moderation team. The best moderators you can ever find, see, or have on the internet: the Lorna, Mami K, Bob S, Harry Potter, Amir Fazat, and Dirk. Thank you, friends, for making this community what it is. Pleasant, safe, and nice. Thank you. And thank you, the usual suspects, the pillars of Inside Russia, the patrons. Thank you for coming back, and it's fantastic to have you. I apologize for yesterday. I did not live stream. It's personal circumstances. I just physically couldn't do that. And the last thing, if you want me to see your message easier, to see your comment or question easier, please put it in all caps and put Inside Russia after @ so I see your comment or question highlighted in a large orange box. Much better for me to see, much easier. Just like Bob S did. Thank you so much, friend. Sam the Legend K, howdy. And everyone, howdy. RC Roscoe made it 3 times in a row. Good to see you. Aaron Sonex, Andreas Benz, Ferrari Guy, Terry, Ferrari Guy, long time no see. PL Demergray, same thing. Jodes Rames, Sherry Diaz Hernandez. Thank you for your hug. Thank you so much. See, this is what I mean. When I see something like that, that really helps. It just makes me feel so much better. Thank you for your support. Money is great, but your words are priceless, and your wishes and your love and the prayers. You know, I appreciate everything. Thank you so very much. By the way, there's no progress on YouTube, demonetization. Still fighting with Google. Just crazy. Andreas Benz, howdy. Peter Wanderhoevel, great to see you. The questions: why do Russians eat this BS out of Putin's hands? That's the question that I asked at the end of the stream. I don't understand at the end of the message. I don't understand. This is the biggest mystery. Either they just don't have a clue. It's their lives that's being stolen, their future of their kids. It's not just losing exports of gas and oil. It's not just high inflation. It's not high interest rate. No, it's not record low unemployment. No. It's their children's future. It's the schools. It's the ideology. It's the brainwashing in their heads. It's the roads. It's good healthcare down the drain. It's their lives. And it seems like Russians don't understand. Well, they seem like children of doom. They're like acting doomed as if they have no chance. Roy Cousins, Kaltenberg, howdy. Kate, Sandra, Chesteri, Thank you so much for giving me credit for that, Terry. I do put a lot of my heart into today's stream. Well, usually, it's just some streams are more sensitive than others. I'm kind of used to economy is very sensitive topic too because I give you numbers and figures, but behind every number, lives. Lives. I watch some Russian YouTube channels, regular Russians getting interviewed on the streets, and they're just their lives are so miserable they just want to die. Especially the retirees in their 70s who just are forced to go and do something, work, and they don't feel well, but they're forced to sell things on the street in the wintertime because otherwise they wouldn't eat, okay? So it's very sensitive, and this topic is also sensitive. So thank you so very much. Thank you. Kermo, howdy. I agree with you. There's nothing new. Like I said in the beginning of the live stream, I did not learn anything new. Well, this very last thing that when Putin said, "I am the savior of Russia," I saved it. That was new. I have not publicly heard that. But other than that, but still, it's very important. Even when I don't learn these new things, this is already information enough for me to process and to add other analysis. Petra Olson, howdy. Pamela, good to see you. Lucas or Lukas, I think you find yourself in this, what you're doing now. Just keep be good God-man, Godfather, good person. Thank you. Thank you so much. I find what I do incredibly important. I find this is my mission. I actually made a live stream 2 years ago. Some of you might remember, I made a manifesto, it's called Inside Russia Manifesto. It's all still out there on YouTube. I never take anything down. So go and check it out. So I have made it my mission. Elsha, Putin is living in a world of make-believe. Could be, but if you're a president of a such large country and you make decisions such as to invade a country and send hundreds of thousands of people to die, you can't afford to live in a make-believe world, The question is why people allow him to live in his world. Pam Tricade, I feel sorry for you. Thank you. Thank you. A lot of good people are stuck right now. We are under fire from Russia because Russia betrayed us. Russian people have betrayed us. They chewed us up and spat us out. And also, we are under fire from the West and from the rest of the world because Russians are regarded nicely less and less. As time goes by, we're just attitude towards us diminishes. So thank you for your words of kindness. Veronica, howdy. Roman, Paul Wright, Scott Nesbitt, Windsor Loft, Joao Morenos, Deborah, Jane Sewell. Such an interesting analysis of Putin's 4-hour marathon. Jane, Dorset, England. Thank you, Jane. I tried. I spent all day today by watching him, thinking over, taking notes, and Arnie Cyper, comment for the algorithm. Can you please do me a favor? Can you also do the same thing after the live stream is over? In the comments after the end of this live stream. Thank you. Helen, howdy. Carlson Larrymore, good time. Good to see you. Long time no see. How do you know when a Russian official is lying? Yeah, I know. I haven't seen the second part. of your message. Well, it's just when they open their mouth, you know. Oh yeah, I'm sure you know the answer. I know. I've said that many times myself. And that is true, unfortunately. Palvia Flex, howdy. Did the Putin show have any ads? Ads meaning advertisements? I don't know. I watched live from the Kremlin site or one of the official sites. Dave Willett, howdy. Who will foot the bill for the environmental disaster, the spilling of over 3,000 tons of oil in the Black Sea, and were those ships insured? I doubt they were insured. They were part of the Shadow Fleet. And, well, guess who will foot the bill for the environmental disaster? Russian people. I will be making a live stream about that. And tomorrow in the Friday news report that is coming up, I also will mention that. I'll show you some footage. Horrendous. Horrendous. You're not going to believe. Come back tomorrow. This is a huge disaster. I'm going to either name the stream, this environmental disaster, or, believe it or not, but Russia has introduced monogamy. Now Russian husbands, men can have wives. It's not a law yet, but it's officially been stated and allowed by the chief priest of Tatarstan, Mufti. I will talk about it. So I have not decided which news to make the title of the crazy news update, but they both are crazy. Those two news are absolutely crazy. So anyway, I'll talk about it. Please come back tomorrow. Winds aloft, Putin saved Russia like Mount Vesuvius saved Pompeii. Very nice analogy, thank you. Quiton, howdy. Andrew Hodson from South Africa, howdy, howdy. Pamela, if only Patreon chat was in English. It is in English. Everything I do is in English. Pamela, English. I will go, and by the way, everyone, there is a place, a sort of live chat, continuous live chat that is inside Patreon, and Pamela is a big member of that, and other pillars of Inside Russia patrons. So if you want to be on a constant connection, I post pictures, I post my whereabouts, things like that. So become Patreon of Inside Russia, and you'll get access. And that is in English. Pamela, I will write in English after this live stream is over. BC guy from British Columbia, thank Canada. Thank you so much. Sending my love to Canada. I always wanted to go to British Columbia to snowboard. What's his name? Blackcomb. Anyway, this huge, massive mountain or a couple mountains. This is one of the best skiing in the world and riding. I used to be an instructor, snowboard instructor, a member of AASI, American Association of Snowboard Instructors. I used to volunteer for an organization called Maine Adaptive, Maine Handicapped Skiing. We would help people who were handicapped to ski. And then I skied a lot when I was younger, 20 years ago. Those days are over. Wow. I used to ride a lot. On winter of 2023, I think I was on the mountain 50 times a winter. Anyway, sorry. Just kind of thinking aloud. Arndt Sipper, I think more interesting that was Putin said is that he didn't. True. True, he didn't say much about what's coming up. Soon of his negotiations with Trump. he lied, by the way, one more time, I forgot to mention. He said that he hasn't talked to Trump in 4 years, when Trump, clearly, they spoke right after Trump was elected. So why does Putin do that? No one is forcing him to lie, you know? M. Muller, I miss Crusader Damien's questions. Yes, me too. You reminded me. Where is Crusader Damien? Please, come back. The best questions. Aaron Sonex, I love that English is not your first language, but you say my screen name perfectly. Where native English speakers tip on it, LOL. Aaron Sonex. Well, thank you. I try. Palveflex, yep. YouTube, I figured no news is not good news. Mr. Jetty89, this is a spiritual and physical battle for the future of Russia and other countries as well. You could be so right. You know, I had a conversation. One of the best people to speak with is my wife. She's so smart and wise. One of the smartest people I've ever talked to. And we had a discussion today after Putin was done. And, you know, perhaps what's happening with Russia right now is incredibly tough situation, but it's the end of its imperial state, imperial period that's lasted for about 400 years. Perhaps it needs to fall down and shatter into pieces and then to be reborn from those pieces, a new country with new values, with the light inside of people's souls, you know, with no war mentality, no expansion, with focus on itself, on Russian citizens. Perhaps that's what's going to happen. Perhaps, I mean, it's just the Ukrainians are paying the price. People die in Ukraine. I don't even know what to say about that. It is such a tragedy, you know. Freebird Norway, thank you, but no thank you. Don Fox, greetings from the Netherlands. Oh, William G. Atheist #1. Are you gonna pray with us? Please do. All the donation buttons are missing on the feed. Well, you can't super chat anymore. You can't become a member because I'm demonetized by YouTube, by Google, and, the only way is to buy me coffee or become patron or send something on PayPal, and that's usually after the stream is over because I can't do anything in a live stream. And I'm going to put a link down below after it's over. But thank you in advance. Thank you so much. William, please pray with us. I know you're atheist #1, but you know what? You don't have to call it praying. We're wishing well to many people as we can. Will you please join us in a couple minutes? I'll take 2 more questions and I'll be done. Alu, if government is the cause of all your problems, wouldn't you want them to fix those problems? Or would it be smarter to nod and smiles? Nod and smile. I don't quite understand. I don't want to fix those problems. I want the government to represent myself, my desire, my wishes, you know. I am, as a voter, as a citizen of Russia, I have a right to do so. And I have the right by the Constitution. If I don't like this government, I want to fire it. I want to replace it with people that I find, suit the purpose. And that's what I want to do. And I'll tell those people exactly what to do. Because fixing these problems, economy, demography, it's not a big deal. It's not rocket science. The only thing that cannot be fixed is human lives. You cannot resurrect people who were killed, the Ukrainians and Russians, and crippled. There's nothing can be done about that. Only repentance, only forgiveness, things like that. But everything else, economy, gosh, that's so easy. Russia is such a friggin' resourceful and rich country. When right policies are applied, Russia can flourish in a couple years. Look what happened in the 90s. It took 10 years to turn from capitalism with craziness that the country was into, from communism to capitalism. 10 years of reinventing the wheel. Russians didn't have any help from anyone. We were just trying to reinvent the wheel. We were trying to create life. And we succeeded. So it's not a big deal. And this is what I want to do, I don't want to be Northern smile. I nodded and I smiled for 20 years. And you know what happened? Right now I'm sitting in front of the camera and telling you about how Russia is landsliding, demising. And, it's not, that's because of nodding and smiling for so many years. Not just me, but 146 million people. Joe's Rames, do you think freezing of bank accounts will happen? Not soon. It might in the future if the situation gets real bad. But instead of freezing now, they turned on the printing press. I told you in the past, I know, Jodes, you were here every time. I told you 1 trillion was influxed, it pumped into Russian economy on the 26th of November. Another one, 2 trillion rubles right now. Inflation is through the roof right now. 2 trillion. They doubled what they did, about a month ago. So instead of freezing bank accounts of Russians, they're printing money and then pumping into the economy. Friends, I gotta finish this. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mods, thank you for coming back and keeping my bag safe. Thank you, everyone. Tomorrow, Friday Crazy News Update. I will include Wacky Wednesdays, and I'll make it like extra long and extra important. Let's put it this way. So please tune in tomorrow, and please, right now, I am inviting, asking, and begging everyone to pray with me. Let's send good wishes and good energy to people. Let's pray to God, whatever you want to call it. So let's do it. Thank you. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for putting food on our tables and giving roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Thank you for our families. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads safe and peaceful, and raise our children so when they grow up, they will become good people, will never fight in any wars, love each other, and make this world a better place. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, please help Ukraine, stop the bloodshed. Reach out and touch the hearts and souls of those who are responsible, so they wake up from the lethargic sleep and realize that they are human beings still and still have love in their hearts, and make the decision to stop the war. Please help every Ukrainian who has been affected by the terrible tragedy and answer their prayers, make their wishes come true. Help my country, please. Assemble your strongest angels with sharpest swords. Have Saint Michael lead that heavenly army of yours, and send it to earth, so they will come down like avalanche and get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country, who will know by their names and by their faces. Send your angels to help good Russians to run the country, make it peaceful, loving, and respecting. Please help everyone who is traveling right now, send them safe travels. Help everyone who is seeking asylum. Help everyone who is helping Ukrainians to help in these hard times. Help all the Ukrainians who are currently under attacks, or there's a risk of attacks coming from Russia. Please send safety to everyone. Dear Lord, please help single mothers and fathers who are struggling, raising their children, trying to make ends meet. send them help, and in general, who is struggling financially this holiday season, please send a miracle to everyone. I'm asking for help for those who are in need, who are addicted, cold, sick, homeless, jobless, sad, depressed, crying, hurting, who are betrayed, who are losing their faith, who just don't know what to do with their lives anymore, who feel betrayed, who feel left behind, who feel alone in this world, who are crying, who are sad, who are left without money. Please help everyone in need. Send everyone this holiday miracle. Thank you so much for allowing us to come together and pray. Thank you for everyone who's praying along with me or simply watching us pray. Answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's wish come true. Dear Lord, I have a list of people who need your help bad. I am asking you to help them, to send your angels to bring relief, help, recovery. And they are Denise Abbott, Renate, Janice Burgess, Derek Martinez, Holy Be Jesus, Highwayman, Victor, Ann Larson, Ann Hannah, Jeffrey S. and family, Katharina Holm, Alex, Mark, Tom W., J.R. McKim, Gaping with Gary, Lisa Cumbrian, Harry and family, Terry, John, Linda, Paula W., Dennis, Jason, Susie, Tim, Dory, Rhonda, John, Taylor, Wayne, Dave, Don, Darla, George, Pamela, Meta, David Porter, his family, and everyone who's in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Leif, Randolph, Grace, Dean Spooner and his church, Yelena, Natasha, Michael, Jake, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Svetlana, Sergey, Liz, Sergey, Ron, Liz, Koshkin Dom, Sandra, Mike and Mike, Petra Olson, Joseph, Melissa, Jodes, Millie, Philip, Eileen, and Pamela. Please help these people, send their angels with help, and please help everyone who is in need of help and your love. Thank you so much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Friends, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for giving me a chance to share my opinion with you. I am honored. I am glad to see everyone here. I would like to remind you that you're absolutely awesome and you rock. Thank you, moderators. And please come back tomorrow for dose of Russian crazy news. Then they get crazier by the week. And now, before I sign off, I would like to ask you, as usual, to say out loud the following, along with me, as loud as you can. Carthago delende est.